Project Gotham Racing 3 is a simcade racer from Bizarre Creations, a Liverpool-based studio with a game lineup going back to the 80s. After a run of quirky Amiga and Mega Drive projects in the early 90s, they found their footing in racing with Formula 1 on the PlayStation in '96. They followed with Metropolis Street Racer on Dreamcast, which evolved into Project Gotham Racing on Xbox. They also stepped outside racers with a PS2 tie-in for Disney's Treasure Planet, and they created Geometry Wars, first hidden as an arcade cabinet in PGR2 before it blew up on the Xbox Live Arcade. I want to give a shout out to my channel members. For only $1 a month, you can support my content and get your name in my videos. The third entry in the PGR series reviewed well, but launched beside two great racing games, Need for Speed Most Wanted and Ridge Racer 6, which both outpaced it in sales. I'll keep this review centered on PGR 3, though some comparison is inevitable. Ridge Racer 6 had the pure arcade crowd, Need for Speed provided the edgy street racing fantasy, and Project Gotham Racing found itself somewhere in the middle. At its core, PGR 3 is a grounded racer that emphasizes clean driving and vehicle control. I used the term simcade earlier, which is a blend of the two styles that really pays off once you get the hang of it. The feel really comes down to cornering. Arcade games let you hold the throttle and slide forever, while sims make you slow down, adjust, and punch the gas to maintain maximum speed. In PGR 3, the slider feels set dead center. It wants controlled drifts, not 120-mile-per-hour dive bombs. Mastering that balance is the key to winning races. PGR 3 keeps the series' kudos system, basically racing XP for stylish driving. You earn kudos for maneuvers like drifting, drafting, clean overtakes, two-wheeling, and much more. Think Tony Hawk. Chain moves to build a combo multiplier, wait too long and your stash banks, crash mid-chain and you lose the unbanked points. Each event has their own counter, and only by finishing the race do those kudos roll into your persistent career total. Raise that total to rank up and unlock special concept cars. The career system in PGR 3 is fairly straightforward. There are over 20 championship series, each containing a number of events. Completing an event unlocks the next in the series, and completing the series earns you a trophy. Unlocking trophies opens up more series for you to race in. There are 5 difficulties: Novice, Easy, Medium, Hard, and Hardcore. Higher difficulties yielding more credits for winning, as well as a better medal or trophy. The difficulty in this game doesn't fuck around either. The AI is ruthless and the game doesn't care if you fall behind. If you spin out and smash into a wall, you might as well just hit the restart button because it's probably over. Now, one thing I really enjoyed about the game was the variety of events available. The devs went beyond standard races to try and craft an engaging experience that really puts your driving skills to the test. Street races are your bread and butter. You race a pack of AI cars and try to finish at or above the target position for your medal. Speed challenges test your ability to maintain a high speed, setting a required speed you need to be going while passing the finish line, typically throwing in sharp corners to trip you up. Overtake races require you to overtake a certain number of cars within a time limit. The challenge ends as soon as you overtake the final car, so you can get pretty reckless towards the end. Cone challenges force you to maintain control while driving through cone gates, setting a minimum kudos score that you need to progress. Time vs. Kudos sets an impossibly strict time limit to finish a race. Earning kudos briefly pauses the clock, so drifts and other forms of stylish driving are needed to reach the finish. Hot laps and timed runs are separate, but essentially the same kind of event, where you need to race against the clock to finish the event within a strict time limit. No kudos to save you this time. Breakthrough events start with very little time, each checkpoint you pass adds seconds to the clock. Drift challenges force you to sail around corners and rack up a minimum number of kudos before the end of the event. And finally, one-on-one races are a tense showdown against someone with a much better car than you. The first 2 PGR games were known for including everyday driver vehicles in the lineup, so if you wanted to get behind the wheel of, let's say, a Volkswagen Golf or a Ford Focus, you could live out those racing fantasies you have while you're stuck in traffic during your daily commute. PGR 3 shifts things up a bit by focusing more on supercars. PGR3's garage has 70 plus licensed cars, and most can be bought as soon as you have the credits. Buying is a commitment though. There's no selling back for what you paid, so the test drive option is worth using. Each car page gives you a short blurb plus a recommended driver level, novice to expert. Cars are split into 5 classes, A through E. Higher classes means better performance, but classes almost act as a secondary difficulty option, as the AI races whatever class you pick. In theory, you could run the entire career in an E-class starter. I don't know why you would do that, but the option's there. For me, I stayed in the C class for most of the game, just like how I selected the medium difficulty for almost every event. I never claimed to be good at racing games, okay? There are 4 main cities: Las Vegas, London, New York, and Tokyo. Each has its own quirks and is full of different routes that are handcrafted into the various tracks you play throughout the career mode. There's also a custom track creator that boasts 100 million plus unique routes, even though that's mostly just combination math, kinda like how Borderlands 2 had millions of guns. Semantics aside, it does give you a ton of variety. Let's be honest, the racing is solid, but what people really talked about was how it looked. PGR3 takes full advantage of the new Xbox 360 hardware here, with high-resolution textures and normal maps. The cities are incredibly detailed, and cars are breathtaking. One major aspect that the team worked hard on was the cockpit view. Cars were around 80,000 polygons, with roughly half spent on the interior. Now, I'm a third-person camera enjoyer myself, so I didn't get to experience the cockpit view as much, but it's impressive regardless. Another piece of technology provided by the 360 was the online service Xbox Live. Bizarre Creations took advantage of that in a unique way by introducing Gotham TV, an in-game spectator mode where you could watch other players race. The Gotham's Hero channel showcased live races happening across Xbox Live, while the Friends channel let you drop in on your friends' online career runs. Now, of course, there were also modes where you could race against other people, but this was by far one of the more unique uses of Xbox Live back in the day. Overall, Project Gotham Racing 3 does a great job launching the series into the next generation. The vehicle handling offers a decent challenge, and the kudos system makes you take those risky drifts, even if you want to play it safe. The career is straightforward but challenging, with enough event types to keep things interesting. I don't know that I would have grabbed this over Need for Speed, but PGR3 knows what it wants to be, and it just is that, unapologetically, and I respect the hell out of that. Anyone who grew up with the PlayStation is bound to know the name Ridge Racer. Ridge Racer is an arcade racing series developed and published by Namco, the same company behind arcade classics like Pac-Man, Galaga, and Dig Dug. In the 1990s, Namco began porting their arcade titles to home consoles, with Ridge Racer landing as a launch title for the brand new Sony PlayStation. For years, the series was closely tied to the PlayStation, with Ridge Racer 5 being released as a launch title for the PlayStation 2 as well.
It's Ridge Racer! Ridge Racer! Remember that one?
After a brief hiatus where the series mostly appeared on handhelds and as the R-Racing Evolution spin-off, a game that had a lot more simulation elements, Namco returned to the series' pure arcade roots with Ridge Racer 6, drifting into the next generation with sharper visuals and smoother performance. It was announced that the game was going to be launching alongside the Xbox 360, a true blow to the egos of Sony fanboys everywhere. It really did come as a surprise to see Ridge Racer show up on the Xbox, but in 2005, Microsoft was trying hard to break into Japan. The original Xbox underperformed in the region, and with Microsoft being the only American company in a console war otherwise dominated by Japanese giants, they needed recognizable franchises to give the 360 some credibility. So they went after support from big names like Namco, Capcom, and Sega. Ridge Racer 6 was a part of that push, a familiar Japanese racer that could make the 360 look like a serious contender right out of the gate. Microsoft accomplished their goal as Ridge Racer 6 was one of the highest selling titles in Japan when the Xbox 360 finally launched there in December 2005, a few weeks after the American launch. Players would come home, put Ridge Racer 6 into their 360, and immediately be reminded of the legacy of the company behind it. The very first screen is a playable game of Pac-Man. But I don't need to tell you how great Pac-Man is. We're here to talk about
Ridge Racer.
Ridge Racer 6 prioritizes high-speed action over basically anything else. It's about the most arcade experience you could have in a racing game without going to an actual arcade. You know, the one in the movie theater that doesn't take quarters anymore, and instead you need to get a cheap plastic card and fill it with money and swipe on all the machines. What the fuck is up with that? This game is about drifting and sliding your way to victory. I mean it too. You're going to spend half of this game sideways, and the other half you're going to spend wondering what in the fuck a Killick Starnose is. Some of these car names are a little out there. Keeping with tradition, Ridge Racer 6 uses completely fictional car models and manufacturers. There are 23 base vehicles with over 160 variations, mostly different liveries and colors, so there's no shortage of options. I tried to spend time with a variety of them to get a feel for how they handled, and the biggest difference comes down to how they drift. A vehicle can fall into one of three drift types: standard, mild, or dynamic. Standard is a nice balance between speed and control, easy to pick up, and the one I gravitated towards most. These cars never felt too slippery, and I always felt confident hugging a corner while drifting around it. Mild cars have more grip, giving you better control at the cost of shorter drifts. I tended to lean towards mild cars a little later in the game as I unlocked faster classes and needed a bit more control to avoid smashing into pretty much everything. Dynamic cars favored drifting over grip, and I could barely keep them under control. Every time I tried one, my car would basically stay sideways the entire race, and not in a fun way. So needless to say, I didn't really drive these that much. Drifting is critical as it charges your nitrous meter. Nitrous makes you go fast, and you need a lot of it. You could bank 1, 2, or 3 charges and use them separately or all at once. Pressing B will pop 1 tank of nitrous, pressing Y will pop 2, and pressing them both together will pop all 3 tanks at once, harnessing the power of rocket science to propel you to the front of the pack. You would think this kind of racing would be pretty mindless, but it was actually fairly difficult to get the hang of it first. I didn't even know you could use more than 1 nitrous tank until I looked it up. Another interesting aspect to charging nitrous actually comes right at the end of your tank. In normal races, you cannot charge nitrous while you're using it. However, you could take advantage of the speed boost to launch into a drift as soon as the tank runs empty, to enter ultimate charging. If executed properly, you could fill a tank in seconds and pop nitrous again right away. That really comes in handy during some of the more challenging events where you need all the horsepower you can get. The career mode is called World Explorer, with an X, because this is the Xbox. And this is where you'll spend the majority of your time. You are presented with a branching tree of races with open space between the lines. Completing all of the races surrounding an area will unlock it, usually earning you a new car. The tree is split into 4 sections, each tied to a vehicle class. Races are numbered to help you track your progress, but you can tackle them in any order as long as they connect to one you've already completed or are about to attempt. When you select races, adjacent races become available for you to select, allowing you to create unique events by chaining races together. I thought this was a really unique way to handle a career progression. If you really wanted to, you could just do all the easier races along the bottom row and get to Class 4 vehicles. For my first few hours, I stuck to doing them in order. The completionist in me refused to move on until I'd clear everything in the current class. That changed when Class 3 started to drag, and I decided I'd better unlock some Class 4 races so I could actually get the footage I needed for this video. You only complete a race by finishing first. There are no pity options that allow you to progress by finishing second or third like some other games. It's all or nothing. Once you clear the standard tree, an advanced tree opens up with tougher challenges. This is where the game introduces duels, one-on-one races against a rival, and quad duels where you take on 3 opponents at once. I'll admit I didn't get nearly that far. At least, not yet, but I do plan to circle back to it. The problem is, the game starts to feel pretty repetitive. That mostly comes down to the limited variety of race types. The core event type in Ridge Racer 6 is a simple 3-lap circuit with 14 competitors. There is not a whole lot to say about it, it's pretty straightforward. A few variations mix things up by tweaking how nitrous works. Reverse charge races only let you build boost while you're actively using it, while no nitrous races strip it out entirely. For you. The other drivers get to use it because fuck you, that's why. Outside of World Explorer, there are a few extra modes you can jump into. You can run single races, either offline or online, with friends through Xbox Live, which was a big deal at the time, since this was the first Ridge Racer to feature online play supporting up to 14 players. There's also a time trial mode called Time Attack, where you chase the fastest lap across any of the game's 60 course layouts. A secret game mode, you could actually just play Pac-Man. So if you're tired of racing, you could just play Pac-Man. You have to unlock it first though. Ridge Racer 6 comes loaded with tracks and variations. Out of the total, 3 are returning favorites while 12 are brand new, giving you 15 unique courses. Each one can be raced forwards, backwards, and, new to the series, mirrored horizontally, which adds up to 60 different layouts. The tracks themselves are pretty memorable too, even if it's just a matter of knowing when the turns are coming. After a few runs on each, you'll start to settle into the rhythm and breeze through them. Ridge Racer 6's soundtrack is a wild mix of electronic genres: trance, industrial techno, jungle, synth pop, and more. Namco's sound team pulled in veteran composers and fresh talent to make what might be the most unique Ridge Racer soundtrack yet. Each of the 15 courses is paired with its own track, and after a while they just feel inseparable. Loading into a race and being greeted by its companion song quickly became one of the game's most satisfying moments. The soundtrack was well liked enough that in 2009 Namco released it as a full album, Ridge Racer 6 Direct Audio. That kind of thing doesn't happen often, so when it does, you know you've crafted something special. In conclusion, Ridge Racer 6 was quite the surprise as an Xbox 360 launch title, but a welcome one. With a racing style that can only be Ridge Racer, the game is fast and completely committed to the drift. While the lack of event variety can make the career mode drag at times, the moments you do spend behind the wheel are genuinely enjoyable. Not long after the 360's launch, the PlayStation 3 arrived with Ridge Racer 7, essentially an expanded and upgraded version of this game. That left Ridge Racer 6 as a bit of a standalone oddity on the 360, a product of Microsoft's push to appeal to the Japanese consumers, and Namco's chance to carry their arcade-born franchise into a new generation of consoles. While Ridge Racer 6 and Project Gotham Racing 3 stuck to the tried-and-true closed-circuit model, EA's Need for Speed Most Wanted broke down the barricade and took the racing to the streets of Rockport. Flaunting stylish cars, beautiful women, and a surprisingly bold approach to cutscenes, Most Wanted stood out as the clear winner on Xbox 360 launch day. In fact, 1 out of every 3 people who picked up a brand new 360 in November 2005 walked out with a copy of Most Wanted. And it's no wonder why. It takes the best parts of the series and smashes them together into one chaotic, unforgettable package. I dare you to name a more iconic racing series in the 2000s than Need for Speed. Exploding onto the scene in the mid-90s, the series quickly made a name for itself as a serious contender in the racing world. Over the years, it evolved across multiple consoles and spin-offs, but one thing always stayed true. Need for Speed was king. It carved out a space somewhere between Gran Turismo and Grand Theft Auto, letting you live out your cops versus robbers fantasy, and let's be honest, it was a lot easier to convince your parents to buy you Hot Pursuit 2 than Vice City. In 2003, EA released Need for Speed Underground, dropping the pursuits and instead focusing on the tuner car culture being popularized by the Fast and Furious films. Underground introduced deep customization options, including body kits, spoilers, underglow, and a wide range of performance upgrades, forever changing the way players interacted with their vehicles in racing games. And you could do all that while listening to incredibly well curated playlists. I was 9 years old, screaming the censored lyrics to get low, whipping a modded Dodge Neon around corners like a stuntman. After back-to-back grand slams with Underground and Underground 2, EA Black Box was ready to try something a little different. By bringing back police pursuits while keeping the deep customization the series had become known for, Need for Speed Most Wanted became the best of both worlds. Sporting that iconic silver and blue BMW on the cover and the graffiti-styled Most Wanted logo, fans knew exactly what kind of game they were getting into. While Most Wanted graced every platform that EA could squeeze it onto, today we're focusing on the Xbox 360 version of the game. The one with the beefed up visuals and that heavy sepia filter designed to make everything feel as gritty and grungy as possible. I'll start off by saying the game looks fantastic. The light reflections on the vehicles scream next gen, and the environments are genuinely breathtaking. The jump from the PS2 and original Xbox versions isn't subtle. The 360 release boasts higher resolution car models, sharper textures, real reflections instead of blurry smudges, and a lighting system that gives the whole world a glossy music video sheen. Black Box clearly wanted to show off the power of the Xbox 360, and they absolutely nailed it. But it's not just impressive on a technical level. The art direction is where Most Wanted gets its whole identity. The color palette is all burnt oranges and dirty yellows. It's like someone smeared the camera lens with motor oil. But the coolest part of this game's presentation for me has always been the cutscenes. That weird, stylish mix of CGI backdrops and live-action actors layered under heavy filters. I know I'm repeating myself here, but the whole thing really feels like a gritty early 2000s music video, and it gave Most Wanted a personality no other racing game had at the time. It was a bold choice considering most racing games stuck to in-engine cutscenes or traditional CGI models. But EA had the extra money and it was well spent. Behind the scenes footage is great to watch now because it puts into perspective just how ambitious this approach was. It can feel a bit cheesy at times, but somehow it all comes together to make the game's world feel larger than life. The acting is a little on the nose, but you know what? It's Need for Speed, so fuck it. The career mode this time around was the Blacklist, a ranking of the top 15 racers in Rockport, each with their own unique car and personality. It's such a simple idea, but it works very well. The story itself is pretty straightforward. You start with a great car, complete a few early races, and eventually challenge the 15th driver on the Blacklist, Razor. Before the race, his crew sabotages your ride and you lose everything. The race, the car, and your freedom when Detective Cross shows up and hauls you off. After some time passes, you're released due to lack of evidence, and now you're back on the streets, starting from scratch. And here's the kicker, Razor is now number 1 on the Blacklist, and he did it with your car. The fucking prick. You're not alone though. Mia Townsend steps in to help you get back on your feet, giving you a safe house and connecting you with a guy who sells you a new car. It's definitely not the BMW, so you've got a lot of work ahead of you. To work your way up the Blacklist, you'll have to complete a bunch of races and challenges to even be able to challenge the driver. The game excels at making every rival feel like a milestone. Climbing the tiers gives the whole game a sense of forward momentum, and finally dethroning each racer feels genuinely rewarding. Whether you're grinding out bounty, completing milestones, or taking them head-on in a showdown, the Blacklist ties everything together into a progression system that never stops feeling fun. Now, I wasn't a huge fan of having to hit specific bounty thresholds before challenging each Blacklist racer, but I guess it wouldn't be called Most Wanted without it. It just felt tedious having to raise your score so high between each race, and of course the higher your bounty, the harder the cops are going to pursue you. But we'll get to that in a bit. Beating a Blacklist racer gives you a shot at winning their car, which I thought could have been implemented a bit better. The game uses a pseudo loot box system where you pick 2 markers out of a set of 6. These usually contain cash bonuses, get out of jail free cards, exclusive performance parts, or the pink slip to your opponent's ride. Considering I lost mine to Razor right at the beginning, I kind of assumed every Blacklist race was for pink slips, but I guess not. Most Wanted has an open world to explore, but balances it with the ability to fast travel to events, a feature I really liked. I don't care too much for open world racing games, but that's just me. The game keeps fan favorite racing events like sprints, circuits, and drag races, but also adds a few new ones. Toll booth races revive that arcade-style checkpoint format where each gate bumps your timer forward. And then there are speed trap events, races where the goal isn't to finish first, but to hit every speed camera at the highest speed you can manage. Every camera adds to your total, creating a surprisingly tense and strategic mode. The true highlights of Most Wanted, though, are the pursuits. During races, or even in free roam, you have the chance at encountering the police. When you get close enough to a cop car, the game slows down and the camera zooms in on the car, a telltale sign to punch the gas. Once you gain control of your vehicle again, the pursuit is on. These police chases can get brutal, especially when the backup counter is ticking down and you just can't seem to shake them. As your bounty grows, the cops get more aggressive, faster patrol cars, roadblocks, spike strips, and even SUVs trying to ram you off the road. Luckily, you're not completely helpless. Most Wanted introduces a mechanic called pursuit breakers, environmental destruction points scattered around the map that you can crash through to wipe out the cops chasing you. Things like dropping a giant donut shop sign, knocking over a water tower, or even blowing up a gas station. If you don't manage to lose the police, you risk getting busted. Wrecking your car or coming to a complete stop for too long fills the busted meter, and once it maxes out, you're arrested, complete with a CGI cutscene. Which honestly disappointed me a little. These would have been hilarious to see in live action. But the real pain in the ass comes afterwards. You have to pay off your fines and also earn an impound marker. Get 3 on a single vehicle and it's gone for good. And if every car you own gets impounded, that's it, game over. After clawing your way up the blacklist and finally taking down Razor, you get behind the wheel of that BMW for one last chase. And the Rockport Police Department does not make it easy on you. The final escape is chaotic, relentless, and honestly one of the best endgame payoffs in the entire series. Most Wanted makes you earn the satisfaction of getting away. You have your car, now you just need to leave. And really, what better way to end a racing game than with a full speed jump over a closed bridge? It's cheesy, it's over the top, and it's perfect for Need for Speed. Most Wanted is a masterpiece, plain and simple. It became one of the best-selling games on the Xbox 360, and finding a copy under $40 today is damn near impossible. Considering it launched at $60 almost 20 years ago, that's insane, and it tells you everything you need to know about how beloved this game still is. I really enjoyed my time with Most Wanted. It took me right back to grinding Need for Speed races on my PS2, and it's absolutely a game I could replay multiple times without getting bored. The vehicle selection and deep customization options make each run feel unique, and the progression system is incredibly well implemented.